You know, since Christmas, I've had this experience, I'm just explaining myself for a moment, of feeling what I think was something akin to what Christ felt, that he loved everybody so deeply, and yet he couldn't share the highest teachings with them. And believe me, I'm not comparing myself to Christ, of course, but that feeling has started to come to me more often since Christmas, feeling such pure love for people, and yet not being it, and seeing something, knowing, but not being able to share it with them yet. And it's very painful, actually, when you love somebody that much. I'll bet we've all had that experience, maybe with children or at least. But so the first thing I want to say about cooperative obedience is that because we are now living, obviously without Master in the body, and now without Swamiji for almost 11 years, it's very complicated. Our mind can work its tricks or trickery better. If you went to Swamiji and he told you something, like he told me, you have so much ego right now, let it go, and you will, were his words to me, Shanti has so much ego. When she lets it go, she will, he didn't say you'll be a great soul, but he basically, the most important thing of this sentence was the implication that I'd be able to. That's what I took away. That's why it never bothered me that he said that in front of 25 people at a dinner table. Most people here know that story. Just stopped. Nothing was happening about it. He just suddenly said, oh, Shanti and Barry. And he says that we have a lot of ego. Literally, people had forks like this, stopped. And then we just all waited. I was not bothered by it because I think what I heard was, oh, I'm going to be able to let go of a lot of that. So I didn't think that, but I think that's what happened anyway. So we don't look at anybody now and see or feel, that's Swamiji. I will trust everything he says to me. Or when you have a true inspiration, and when you know, absolutely, it's very tricky, because the ego is so good at what it does, but there are times when something comes, you know it to be true, might even be something you don't want to do, but you know it to be true. There are souls around us who have been on this path and other paths probably for lifetimes. They're highly evolved. We know that. We know that we are living amongst some people who are highly evolved, but we don't have Swamiji. Swamiji once said, I read this, if you're around somebody who's been on the path even a little longer than you, listen very carefully to what they say. He wrote that. I say to people often, find one or two people that you feel in your heart you can trust. Nobody's going to be a perfect being. We don't have that now. We don't. That's the truth. Everybody that we would go to, everybody still has some bit of ego. So it's complicated. This cooperative obedience is complicated. And yet, Swamiji wrote in the Sadhaka vow, I think is where it starts. I could be wrong. I think that's the first time cooperative obedience is mentioned. And he wrote it, and he said to that leader, and then he breaks it down. So he's implying it's Jyotish right now, and he's also implying or the spiritual leaders of Ananda worldwide. So he has said to us, basically, look, I'm not always going to be here, but you will need to have some spiritual guides. We do. We all do. Now, what happens when I ask Jyotish and Devi a question and something deep in me does not agree with the answer? Or Jyotish, for instance, about a year ago or so, made a comment to me. I just cleared this up with him less than a month ago, but this is a year ago. He made the comment to me that I'd like to, Lakshmi, what was the word he used? Fix people? Help? You don't remember. I told you about it at the time. It was not necessarily speaking to a high quality. I heard it. I didn't agree with it. I felt like I do like to be there for people who are in trouble if I know that they are sincere in wanting to make spiritual progress and they have some capacity to do that. I will be there for certain people. Certain people are they're just coming to me. I mean, I could tell you who they are. There are people around Ananda who have called and said, hey, I want to talk to you. I think you could help me. Great. But they're spiritually inclined. They're starting centers or teachers, or not just go and save everybody. It's not who I am. I think he used the word save. I just a few weeks ago had the opportunity to say, you know, you told me that, and it hasn't sat with me. Here's how I see myself. And he said to me, that's accurate. But I didn't say to him at the time, I don't agree with you, that's not. I just sat with it for almost a year, you know. And they have said other things to me that I just, in the moment, don't agree with. And I'm using myself and them because they are who I go to. Now, there's other people that I could say, I've chosen these people to go to with questions. And when they tell me things that don't feel right, I've chosen a couple of people who I feel, this is key to me, have the ability to put their egos aside when I ask something of them. Not that they don't have any ego, because of course everybody does. But who can put it aside, sit with me, get into my spine and see what's next for me, not what they would like me to do, just some random thing, you know? I asked Jyotish and Devi a question 3 times over a period of years. Could I do this? And they told me, no, you cannot do it. And I didn't. And I just went to them again. And I said, I've asked you this many times, but I genuinely feel that it's hindering my spiritual growth to keep doing this thing. And they got very quiet, and they both said, we agree with you now. Now, you've asked us many times, we've told you no. Now, yes. But I listened to them even when I felt deeply the first 3 times, because I've put my soul in their care. We must choose a couple of people, 1 person, 2 people, who we can trust to have our spiritual well-being in mind. That is so important. We're not talking at the personality level. We're not talking likes and dislikes. We're talking about the pure love of the heart and somebody's genuine desire to help us, to help our soul not our personality, but somebody who also has their heart open enough that they can carry us and see our next step. So they're not going to set us up for failure. We don't feel beaten up by them. You know, he's, Piyush, he's not actually bothering me. Kushi, can she hear me? You tell her, it's fine. If he starts screaming, the way we know he can sometimes. But right now, he's just talking and working it out. It's fine. I want Kushi to be able to be around. Sorry. Those are two of my spiritual children, Kushi and Piyush. I love that they're here. So, and it's a big deal. They have these two little ones, but they get up and make it here. It's really pretty remarkable. Of course, with the help of Supriya and others, but anyway. So does that answer the first part of your question at all? If it doesn't, you can say. That is cooperative obedience, actually.